a while ago, I had a one-on-one session with a teacher, and I just had these couple of questions. The mind had these couple of questions that really seemed to be sticking around and asserting their importance. And one of them, between the time that I had scheduled the session and it actually took place, had resolved itself. And that was, how do I reintegrate into society while Kundalini symptoms are still being experienced? And that worked itself out. The other question I had was, do I need people? And she answered, I think you already know the answer to that. And I said, yes, I think I do. The mind is going to present these, what seem like very formidable stumbling blocks. And the closer, or the more that it sort of, there's a sense of its own danger, its own perhaps being put in its place, the more that it will employ its 1 million backdoors, these intrusive thoughts that come up and continue to hypnotize awareness. The mind is feeding off of the energy that is placed into it. A great analogy is, of course, The Matrix, the movie The Matrix. Except that the one feeding into this is not this one small human in a dystopian world. It's actually the all-powerful, the only one in charge of this life, this and every. And this idea that awareness is subject to the limitations of a human body is what then manifests as circumstances that seem to confirm this. So if we believe we are the human, then we will be subject to the psychological limitations of the human. Psychology is just the study of the mind as observed by another mind under the circumstances of both minds buying into the idea that we are separate human beings. The same can be said for science, for the observation of the human body. Wim Hof is a great example. We are not subject, the body itself is not subject to nearly as many limitations as is thought. A lot of people think disease is something that just happens to us. Suddenly, oh, here I am. I have this very serious illness. I'm stuck with it. It doesn't make any sense. How could this happen? And it's a touchy subject. It's very touchy to tell people, you know, there may be a cause in the mind, and there may be a solution that is going to require you to get really uncomfortable. And I don't want to say this applies to all disease or disorder or whatever conditions, especially those that we are, the body comes in with. Some things are here for us to learn to accept. But there are plenty of things that the mind has deemed inevitable or permanent or immovable that are actually optional. And we do this outside of the human body as well. We think, you know, vehicles can only drive so fast, and then we break sound barriers and all these things. But until one person, one mind, lets go of this limitation, and then there is sufficient will to carry out this thing which defies all limitation, until that happens, there is this kind of collective buy-in that's preventing that thing from happening. On the individual level, so within one human mind body, if there is the strong belief that I am a human, I am separate, then yes, we need people. We need people to make us happy. We need touch for the energetic exchange. We are social creatures. All of these things apply to the human aspect. What you'll find is that when the belief is dropped, the effects of that are then carried out or manifested in the experience. Again, very touchy. How do you tell someone that the limitations of their body are an illusion when these so-called limitations are plaguing them and the mind is presenting seemingly immovable obstacles to this? How do you tell somebody that they can heal the body by allowing themselves to cry about something that happened 20 years ago? Or through the dropping of beliefs? And yet, when we let go of this, and we can kind of do this in a general way, so we simply say, I'm willing to let go of the belief that I am subject to the limitations that have previously been believed. We can keep it open like that. We know that the human mind body is still subject to the physics of the experience, but those physics, as observed by science, may be flexible, may be reinterpreted in the future. First of all, we have this idea that matter is this solid thing. And now we know that everything is just vibrating. It's waves, non-solid waves, vibrating so densely that there is the appearance of solidity. And we know that with that, the condition of these so-called solid objects is more changeable than we realize. And when we allow for the physiology to be flexible, the energetic aspect, the energetic layer of the body, then becomes subject to this new, more open mind state. And then the experience becomes more open. We're going back to the koshas again, the layers of the body, but the experience becomes more open again to bliss and wisdom. And if we start having epiphanies, we start following inspiration, then we may get a sense of the way that this body is best lived, best experienced. There may be inspiration as to how to eat. We're no longer subject to these hormonal chemical urges of the so-called animal. There is this higher understanding that says, yes, sugar is very compelling. There's a addictive quality to it. But what I really want is to be healthy, and I'm going to do that. That's what I want, so I'm going to do it. We're no longer ruled by the chemicals. So the 1 million back doors of the mind presents such a seemingly formidable obstacle to self-realization, or to the integration of that. Even after self-realization takes place, there can still be this reabsorption of attention into the illusion. There are infinite instances of bait pulling us back in. Maybe the people around us, or our job, or whatever it is constantly pulling us back into playing the character. But each invitation from the mind, each back door where the mind continues incessantly narrating unnecessarily on behalf of awareness, pretending to be it. Each instance like this is both a struggle and an opportunity. If these things weren't happening, there would be no trigger for awareness to remember itself or to re-remember itself. There have to be these ups and downs. Otherwise, there would be no reason to so-called wake up. That's what this game is. It's a game of getting lost and then finding oneself again. When one is rather integrated, once the state is rather integrated into the experience, it does become really funny and benign. You can see how a kind of innocent, childlike in a way, governing force behind the creation of the universe would play this game and put itself through all these various things and yet not actually be put through all these things and experience the joy and the elation, the interpersonal love that it could never experience if it was simply a no thing out in space, which wouldn't exist either. So as you're working with these back doors of the mind, let them happen. Let them be as they are. They pose no threat to who you really are. They seemingly pose a relative threat to the human aspect.